I guess now's a good time to speculate what 10 years down the line might be. Hey guys, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here, and today we're gonna start something new. I'm kind of sick of making these hot take videos because I don't like being such a negative Nelly. So I figured, what would be the best thing to do? I could choose one of my other fandoms: Dragon Ball Z, Transformers, Harry Potter, all that are kind of stuff that's been said and done. So I think the best option would be Marvel, and more in general, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now we might not be moving. We might move eventually to other Marvel things, since I do like the Spider-Man comics and stuff like that. But for now, we're going to be talking about the MCU, and specifically the future of the MCU. Now, nothing's really set in stone besides what's been announced, and there has not been a Avengers 5 movie announced. Um, we might not ever get Avengers 5, or we might get a new type of team up, like a new Avengers or Young Avengers, which is where I feel it's kind of heading, considering that we have Katie Bishop being announced or introduced, possibly having Stature introduced, Ironheart, stuff like that. We might have a Young Avengers team, or New Avengers. So what we're going to be talking about today is not whether it's going to be the Young Avengers, New Avengers, West Coast Avengers, Champions, or a new team that is specifically made for the movies, the Ultimates, anything like that. Today, what we're going to be talking about is who they face off on against. So, obviously, you're going to have a villain big enough for you to all come together, maybe even bring in some old faces of more veteran Marvel characters, maybe bringing some back from the dead or something like that. And I'm going to put my money on Kang the Conqueror. For those of you who don't know who Kang the Conqueror is, he is a time traveling villain um, who goes through different types of timelines, and basically, towards the end of Earth's life, Kang is the ruler. So he goes back and tries to ensure the timeline that he becomes the ruler. From what I understand, he's not a new villain, but he's a newer villain to me that I cannot fully in confidence explain. And Marvel can change their characters in the movies. I mean, just look at the Mandarin, even though we might be getting the real Mandarin soon with Shang-Chi. Another villain that I could see is Galactus, but I feel Galactus might be like if they continue on after the next big event that's Endgame level event, I feel like Galactus might be after that, kind of like the final boss of the third game of a major franchise game. Um, or I could be wrong, and Galactus could be the next big thing. However, I do feel that Kang would be a good stepping stone towards that, as if we were to look at the Marvel movies in a giant, let's say, trilogy of sagas. So we have the Infinity Saga, this current saga that we're in with WandaVision, and then let's call it the Galactus Saga. So, if you look at the Avengers movies putting each of those three phases, you had Loki, who would have built up towards Thanos anyways, and then Ultron in the middle kind of breaking it up. Now, Thanos could kind of lead into Galactus being a kind of cosmic level event, while King the Conqueror is kind of in a cosmic level event as well. He is kind of disconnected from the two, like Ultron was semi disconnected from Loki and Ultron. Yes, he was created to deter deter the planet from Thanos, It was a failed creation, was created in response to Loki in a sense, but still he's not fully connected. While you could look at Kang as being that way too with Thanos and Galactus, where he could probably be trying to prevent Galactus from taking over, but due to the events that happened with Thanos, it kind of pushed towards the timeline of him being the ruler of at least Earth or the entire galaxy. So that's why I would think with Kang, I could see that this next saga would be 3 phases too, and the way I see it would be like the first Avengers of this phase being against Mephisto. While I am recording this a week before it's posted, so I don't know what's going to happen the day before this video is released in WandaVision, but from episode 4 it does look like Wanda might be, at least in a pretty good amount of control of the whole situation. We could have Mephisto also pulling strings. So Mephisto could be leading up to being the villain. Yes, he doesn't have a total spin with Kang, but he's also kind of more of an introductory villain. Not an introductory villain, but a villain that could ban a bunch of new heroes with some old heroes together to fight at the end of Phase 4. And then Phase 5 I could see being something like Modoc, where it's kind of disjointed with what they're facing, but it's also something that would kind of be a villain of past heroes' creations, being that Modoc does work with AIM. AIM was created in response to Stark Industries, so it could tie in if they do bring Tony Stark back, or Ironheart, or War Machine, or if they have Doctor Doom become Iron Man, that too, where it kind of ties into that being another Stark responsibility that is, or I mean, a Stark problem that was created due to the sins of somebody's past. And then after that, we get Kang. Now, that's as far as I do want to go. I know I mentioned Galactus, but I want to just talk about this next saga. I have a feeling it would be the Kang saga. Maybe it is the Galactus saga, but I could just see it being phases 4 through 6 being a transition from any of the characters that were in Phase 1 to all the characters that will be in Phase 3 of kind of, I think the theme of this saga will be passing the torch. We'll see that in Hawkeye, obviously, with Clint Barton giving it to Katie Bishop. We might see it with Spider-Man. We might get, well, we're going to have Andrew Garfield in it and Tobey Maguire. So as a outside thing, fans will be seeing them kind of passing the torch to Tom Holland. And we'll get multiverse stuff of possible old characters kind of passing down the torch to, and I'm saying old characters like old X-Men maybe passing down the torch to new X-Men, and so on and so forth, of finally getting this transition of when we get to Avengers 7 or 8 or New Avengers 3 and 4 or something like that, that we will have a full team of New Avengers. They're kind of taking over, and then whatever events lead in that, the third saga will be the fallout of that, and them kind of taking over the mantle and being like, I've heard of Iron Man before, but I've never worked with him, but I want to be like Iron Man, and like stuff like that. Or like, there's once a God of Thunder that saved the world 20, 30 years ago. I have thunder powers, talking like, you can't even think of a hero that's like Thor that wouldn't have known Thor, but like something like that. Like maybe they're holding off on Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill shows up sometime after like let's just call it Avengers 6 for sakes. After Avengers 6, Beta Ray Bill shows up and he wants to be like Thor, and they just change that even though that's not how the character was in the comics. So tell me what you guys think. Do you think that this is leading towards Kane or Galactus? Or am I thinking way too far ahead? Leave a comment down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and again, comment, and share the video. Follow me on Instagram, which is also the same name as this, where you can see pictures of my toy collections, also live streams every month, and have a great day. Remember, we are all superheroes on the inside. Since I'm making like Marvel videos now, I figured I should do like end credit scenes with really crappy like action figure playing. So here's Captain America and Iron Man fighting for like 2 seconds.